The second stage is Collision Chaos, where we see that Amy is still following Sonic, and then all of a sudden, the robotic doppelganger we saw in the projection earlier breaks through spikes and abducts the girl right before Sonic's eyes. While this is going on, you're still in control, so it's up to you whether or not Sonic will try to save the girl, or just stand there like a heartless jerk, like he doesn't care. By trying to save her, it says something about Sonic. While he may be indifferent to Amy, he's not going to leave an innocent girl to her fate. A lot of retro games have the hero rescuing a woman simply because he's in love with her. How many of them have you saving a tween fangirl that the hero isn't interested in? Sonic does this simply because he's a good person. Once again, you are what makes Sonic the hero he is. Regardless, the robot flies off with Amy, as we experience the very first rival encounter in the franchise. Remember Silver Sonic from Sonic 2? That was likely the prototype for this game's secondary antagonist. Enter Metal Sonic. Picture a combination of Sonic and the T-800. Hands down, Eggman's single greatest creation. A robotic lookalike that matches Sonic in speed, agility, and even personality one bit later in the game. This guy made one hell of a first impression when he one-upped you. He's the first character to attack Sonic internally, busting through spikes like they're nothing and then daring you to save the girl. It's the first time Sonic's ever felt powerless. Later rivals will jab at Sonic in their first encounter, leaving you with a lasting impression and challenging you. In his first appearance, Metal Sonic is just a machine with the simple objective of defeating Sonic. But throughout the series, he'll evolve into a more ambitious and intimidating foe, and we're itching to face him head on. He's one of the best, most developed villains in the franchise. Not only do we need to save Little Planet's future, but Amy's as well. The stakes have become much higher. Collision Chaos is a forest with neon-lit signs, flippers, and a lot of bumpers. Judging by the twilight sky, the sun is setting, much like Springyard Zone from the original. There are also elements of a casino, similar to Casino Night Zone from Sonic 2. Perhaps one is under construction here. The second zone has these bubbles with small unspecified gizmos in them that go out with one hit. I'm not quite sure what their purpose is in the stage, but they add to the disorienting nature of this place. In the past, it's more or less the same, only with an orange sky like in the morning, and vines growing on platforms. It isn't clear how far we've traveled back in time, but judging by the vines, it could be thousands of years. I have a theory that Little Planet is sentient. It could be aware of how far into the past Eggman has traveled using the time stones, and it allows Sonic to go to the same point in time whenever he passes through a time warp plate. It wants to be saved by Sonic, and it helps him in any way it can. The bad future is fully mechanized and covered in darkness, similar to Nightfall. Red clouds fill the black sky, like in the final seasons of Batman or Ninja Turtles. Eggman has built casinos everywhere, and the water seems radioactive. But despite that, it still retains some color in its own gloomy way. It kinda reminds me of Moonside from Earthbound, just a little less disoriented. The good future is clean and tame. A futuristic civilization can be seen in the background, implying that construction has finally finished. Judging by the blue sky, it seems that this is set during the afternoon. All four versions of this stage seem to be set in different times of day: morning in the past, sunset in the present, night in the bad future, and afternoon in the good future. The boss battle uses pinball physics as you advance your way upward to hit Eggman. This could be a preview for Sonic Spinball, but anyway. The bubbles from Zone 2 return to get in your way, and while you're trying to make your way to the top, Eggman is dropping bombs on you to keep you from reaching him. Clever bastard. It can be frustrating, but it's satisfying at the end. I am the pinball of death! The third stage is titled Tempest. ancient underwater ruins sitting beneath volcanoes and landscape. In case you're thinking it's just as slow and tedious as Labyrinth Zone, think again. This stage keeps things fresh with springs that shoot Sonic upward, and pipes that transfer water which you can use to speed up the pace. The music here is a calming and ominous track that features the very first chorus in a Sonic game. As good as it is, the North American song is too catchy to ignore. Composer Spencer Nilsson had experience with other Sega CD titles like Batman Returns and Echo the Dolphin, alongside David Young, and later Jurassic Park and The Adventures of Batman and Robin. I highly recommend listening to these soundtracks. Spencer and David kick so much ass. Pastiche recorded vocal tracks for Title Tempest and most of the other stages. Only the past themes have been left untouched in the North American soundtrack. This is because the past songs were encoded using PCM format, while the rest of the songs use the Sega CD's Red Book audio. Red Book was used to record real-life performers. Some of you may be wondering why the North American version has a different soundtrack in the first place. Well, Sega of America thought the Japanese soundtrack was too reminiscent of electronic dance music that was popular at the time. I assume they thought it would be too outdated in a few years. Ironically, the Japanese soundtrack has aged much better than the North American one. As much as I love the North American soundtrack, the songs do sound way too 90s, especially Wacky Workbench. I'm not saying it's bad, but with the Japanese soundtrack, everything clicks thanks to the respective remixes. In the past, the pipes are still functional and the water level is lower, implying that the ruins have deteriorated greatly since the fall of the civilization from the past to the present. There is no sign of Little Planet's ancient people anywhere, meaning they've already died out long ago. In the bad future, Eggman has kept the ruins in the terrible shape it's in, and occupied it as another base of operations, bringing dishonor to the people who lived here long ago. Eggman not only cares little about the well-being of Little Planet, but its history too. The good future is a brightly lit, fully functional aquarium. The decrepit home of the lost civilization is now an aquatic natural reserve. It's being used for something beneficial, as a way of honoring the lost people. The boss battle starts with a callback to Labyrinth Zone as you chase after Eggman, but instead of the water rising and Spike screwing you over, you're going at an endless loop until you hit him enough times, then he moves onward to an area covered in water as a ring of bubbles circle around him to shield himself from Sonic. With just one hit, Eggman is defeated and flies off, and Sonic follows. The fourth stage is the appropriately titled Quartz Quadrant, a mine with conveyor belts and tubes used to transfer crystals. Outside of the mines is a wide and serene swamp, implying that the crystals are being shipped somewhere. The swamp can also give you some relief in case the mine makes you feel a little claustrophobic. In the past, it has an older feel with its wooden finish. Conveyor belts are still here, which hints that the mining for the crystals is in its early phase, and we haven't traveled that far into the past. This could be during the times of the ancient civilization, or during the times of the modern civilization. The bad future implies that all the crystals have been mined out, as Eggman has mechanized the entire area. The water is now either lava or melted crystals, and the swamp is no more. It's all machines. In the good future, the mining is done, and futuristic domes can be seen alongside the flourish swamp in the background. While I was replaying this game, I realized something. The good future of every stage has technology working with nature to benefit the world. In the previous games, I always got a nature versus technology vibe, since Eggman was the face of everything mechanical, implying that technology is evil. But that's not really the case. Sonic CD features technology giving people shelter, electricity, and preserving wildlife without damaging the world. Technology is only evil when it's used in the wrong way. This game proves that things aren't so black and white. The boss battle has Eggman trapping Sonic on a conveyor belt with spikes behind him. To raise the tension, he drops bombs on him. Eventually, Eggman's booth begins to malfunction. This shows Eggman's machines can be rushed and unfinished. Like my older videos, I mean, nobody's perfect. I love how anxious Eggman is later in the boss fight. It's like he has to go to the bathroom. Badly. Mwahaha! This is my chance to rid myself of that blasted hedgehog. But I can't hold it any longer. Oh, forget it! The fifth stage is the haphazard, wacky workbench. A factory built in a canyon with hovering platforms, wires generating electricity, air vents that can freeze you, and a very sensitive floor that will shoot Sonic up 50 feet in the air. It's widely regarded as the worst stage in the game, and I couldn't agree more. The floor makes exploration such a pain in the ass, and there's hardly any time to stand still and take a breather. Oh well, music's nice. In the past, the factory is halfway built. Only in the past, you can discover a small shrine with a statue of an angel that will shower you with rings. It's never explained what it means, but it adds a little mystery and magic to Little Planet. In the bad future, the factory is twice as dangerous. Everything's rusted, the wires electrocute you more often, and the floor is always active. The angel statue has been replaced by one that resembles Eggman. If you hit it, bombs will drop on you. So Eggman knew Sonic would break it. Touché, Doc. Like I said before, Eggman doesn't give any thought about the history of Little Planet. He just sees it as a rock to place his empire in. The good future has the factory remodeled to be much safer and more child-friendly, with its vivid colors and geometric shapes in the background. The wires no longer generate electricity. This game rewards you for all the effort you put in earlier, making the outcome later easier. The boss fight here has Sonic climbing up the arena to reach Eggman using falling debris while avoiding the electrical floor and falling spikes. Half the boss fights in this game use exclusive elements we've seen in the stages that build up to the boss fight and make them seem fitting. Before moving on, I have to acknowledge the special stages. After clearing a stage with at least 50 rings, a giant ring will appear which you can jump into. Very reminiscent of the original game, although the Chaos Emeralds don't return since the Time Stones are the Sonic MacGuffins this time around. Eggman left his UFO sentries in another dimension inside Little Planet to guard the Time Stones, and Sonic must destroy them all in a time limit to secure the gems. The 3D here is a major step up from Sonic 2. For the first time, Sonic's in a full 3D perspective, roaming in any direction the player wants. Palm Tree Panic also showed off the Sega CD's power, with Sonic going through the first shuttle loop from his point of view. It's so exhilarating to see a mountain upside down. Funny how the classic games kept inching their way to 3D, while the more modern games are too petrified to stay out of 2D. Makes you think. The landscapes of the special stages are astonishing. Unlike the abstract background in the original and flashy colors in Sonic 2, every special stage is unique and has a different pattern, like canyons and ruins above mountaintops. Some even match the environment of their corresponding stages, such as the third special stage being set underwater, like Tidal Tempest, the third stage of the game, and the fifth special stage is in an industrial environment, like Wacky Workbench, the fifth stage of the game. Sonic CD has hands down my favorite special stages. After collecting all the Time Stones, all robot generators are instantaneously destroyed. This shows how selfless Sonic is. They don't give him a super form like the Chaos Emeralds do, they just ensure a good future for Little Planet. So they don't personally benefit Sonic. He got them just because he wants to save Little Planet. Additionally, if you don't want to search for the generators, then just get all the Time Stones. CD gives you two ways to get the good ending. The sixth stage is the fan favorite, Stardust Speedway. A highway before a brightly lit and lively city with musical instruments set all over the place. The most outstanding feature here is a starry night sky. I honestly can't picture the stage during the day. Like Starlight Zone and Casino Night Zone, Stardust Speedway heavily implies that Little Planet has a modern day society like ours. Out of all the stages, this one is the most fast paced and makes time travel a cinch. In the second zone, there's construction for a statue of Eggman in the background. Let's change that. In the past, the Speedway is in a jungle-esque environment, with vines growing around it and a Greek-style architecture landscape in the background. In place of the Eggman statue is a tall castle, possibly belonging to a royal family. It's never confirmed what Little Planet's lost civilization was like, but we can see aspects that help give this world an identity. In the bad future, the once charming city is now a soulless utopia in a dark atmosphere, with polluted skies containing red clouds that block the starry night sky. The giant statue of Eggman has been completed, being the landmark of his desired empire. Everything's menacing and artistically grim. good future is the most rewarding of all. A jaw-dropping view of a city that's even more gorgeous and colorful. To add more polish, a massive amusement park has been set up. This is what Sonic fights for. He wants everyone to live free and be happy. The castle in the past has been refurbished. While the modern people of Little Planet have made the most of their technological advancements, they haven't forgotten the people who lived here long ago. And of course, the music. This song almost brings me to tears. It's the best of the good futures. Which begs the question why the later games only have the bad future. Yeah, it's likely that more players have come across the bad future, which would make it more popular, but isn't the good future canon? I guess not, since Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2 features the beaten metal Sonic in the bad future. So, all your efforts in Sonic CD were wasted. Bull! Speaking of Metal Sonic, alright, the time has come. You confront Metal Sonic once again as you both prepare for a death race as Eggman fires a vertical laser that can kill you in one hit. Whoever finishes last, dies. Can we all agree this is the best boss fight of the classic era? It's you versus the guy who's been riling you up since the first stage. And instead of actually fighting, you're in a race, so agility and precise timing are essential. Both characters are equal in speed, but if you're in the lead, Metal Sonic will surge with power and unleash his signature ability, the V Maximum Overdrive, allowing him to bust through anything in his path like spikes, similar to his first appearance, which demonstrated what he's capable of. And let's not forget, Amy's life hangs in the balance. It's not just another boss fight, it's an iconic moment we'll never forget. Justice prevails in the end, as Sonic wins the race and Metal Sonic is done for. But don't worry, we haven't seen the last of him. As Eggman retreats to his final stronghold, Sonic frees Amy and lets the poor girl hug her hero once again. I mean, come on, she's been through a lot. And the stage won't end unless she hugs you. Amy is safe, Metal Sonic has been defeated, and 90% of Little Planet has been saved. But there's still work to do. The final stage is the mechanical mayhem that is Metallic Madness. Similar to how Palm Tree Panic resembles the original's Green Hill Zone, Metallic Madness could be a callback to Scrap Brain Zone. Eggman's largest base is riddled with buzzsaws, rotating platforms, giant mace balls, explosives, and most unexpected of all, a shrink ray that turns Sonic tiny and chibi. Aww. With multi-directional lightspeed tubes, this stage becomes more maze-like. I mean, it's not called Madness for nothing. The Japanese theme is a catchy tune that pumps you up for the final battle. If you're going up against Eggman, this is the appropriate song. But this is the only time where I prefer the North American present theme. I find it more fitting since it gives such a haunting feel to it, like the apocalypse is near. That combined with a heavy machine motive to it. In the past, the base is halfway built, as the sky is clearly visible in the background. I assume this is the first part of Little Planet that Eggman is corrupted since everything is technological. The beginning of the madness. This is the final stretch. Just one last area to take care of in order to save the world. The bad future is the most unsettling of them all. The depressing colors and threatening presence makes it the most frightening of the stages. With everything rusted and cracked, it's likely Eggman has abandoned it after he has successfully taken over the rest of Little Planet. The theme music is at a slower pace and has pessimistic lyrics that make you lose all hope.
You can't do anything, so don't even try. Get some help. Don't do what Sonic does.
Acting as the antithesis of the optimistic Toot Toot Sonic Warrior, it tries to influence discouragement and powerlessness. As if their home wasn't enough, now Eggman is after their minds and their souls. The North American theme is a little faster paced and combines strings with an electric guitar, building the tension. It's so intense, it could have been used as a boss battle theme. The good future is another harmonious blend of machine and nature, with the former as a dominant element. The walls have come down as the field of clean grass can be seen, as well as structures of an energy plant. Yes, we do need to preserve nature for oxygen, water, and the protection of wildlife. But we also need technology for power and shelter. Little Planet has found that perfect middle ground. Before you reach Eggman in Zone 3, you must defeat a small squadron of Hotaru to proceed further. This is the first time where it's required to destroy Badniks to advance in the stage, and the whole time we're eager to fight the evil scientist. The music here captures that peacefulness of the good future. It's not blood pumping or rock hard, but it doesn't have to be. It fits the mood. Everyone is safe and content. This is what Sonic wants for his world after seeing everyone in Little Planet living peacefully. He won't stop until everyone back home has a good future too. As nice as it is, the North American theme is still chilling. It's so ominous and eerie in a tranquil kind of way. It says, you have saved the world, but never forget all the strife and challenges you've had to overcome. There's a small debate about which Sonic game is the darkest. I can easily point to CD to answer that. And when I say dark, I don't mean bleak colors everywhere and a mean-spirited attitude. I mean dark with a sense of realism behind it. Yes, realism in a Sonic game. Just hear me out. In CD, time travel is a major component to determine how the future will turn out. The consequences for being careless and lazy are devastating. Poisoned water, irreversible damage to the ecosystem, demolished wildlife, people living under oppression. These things are very real. We all have a responsibility to make a good future for the following generations. If we act selfishly and never bother to contribute, then we're basically dooming everyone to an inadequate and nightmarish fate, similar to in Sonic CD. A major reason why I'm a Sonic fan is how clever and subtle it is in its maturity. The presentation is usually clean and appropriate for all ages, but hidden underneath, you see how intense things get. The backstory in Sonic Adventure features a tribe abusing their power, which results in an enraged survivor taking his anger out on everyone. Yeah, the game where Big the Cat fishes for Froggy has mature elements like that. And this is what bugs the hell out of me about the more recent games. They have no depth or motivation for the player. Before 2010, most of the games have Sonic fighting Eggman for one solid reason: the world is in danger. So, Sonic, being the hero he is, foils his operations. Sure, he'll make a snappy quip or two, but he never forgets how serious the situation is. Installments starting with Sonic the Hedgehog 4 and Sonic Colors have the two going at it just because that's how it's always been. Sonic's the good guy, Eggman's the bad guy, fight. They're too simplistic and detached from any form of realism. Like this. This is what gave these games so much weight. Knowing what's at stake here. How much of a difference one person can make. If we have nothing to fight for, then why should we care? And burned out meta humor will never fill that void. You might say that I'm reading into this too much, since many would argue, oh, it's just Sonic the Hedgehog. That tired excuse has been trying to discredit franchises regarded as nonsense even when they provoke thought. I implore you, think about Sonic the Hedgehog. Think about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Think about Grand Theft Auto. So many of these franchises are more profound than most people would assume. Sonic CD is the darkest Sonic game. A hero's as good as his villain. And it's in this game where Sonic is at his best and Eggman is at his most diabolical. Now let's work that sucker to death. Eggman is in a spherical mech with 4 blades that rotate around it. And it's pretty underwhelming and kinda lazy. It's just a ball with clunky blades around it. The previous battles utilized elements of the retrospective stages. Eggman took the most useful parts and integrated them into the boss battles, so he's learning how to defeat Sonic by observing how hazardous certain areas are. This boss fight doesn't include any elements from Metallic Madness. Imagine if Eggman built a giant suit that was equipped with buzzsaws, mace balls, or a shrink ray. What a missed opportunity! To be fair, it is a nice touch of detail to have the mech fall apart every time it's been hit. And I do like this bit where Eggman uses a single blade as a pogo stick like Batapion. For the 2011 remaster, there was an extra boss battle planned where Eggman is in a giant mech that you can damage only through time travel. It would have been accessible only if you've ensured the good ending, but it was scrapped. Disappointing battle or not, Sonic defeats Eggman as his base begins to collapse. Amy arrives and Sonic carries her out of Little Planet and back onto Neverlake. I like this gesture that Sonic gives here. He finds Amy annoying and all, but he is at least concerned about her safety. As Sonic sees Little Planet break free from his chain, it displays a glowing image that resembles him, possibly as a way of thanking him. The look on Sonic's face can tell us that he must be feeling overwhelmed. He's being thanked for saving an entire world that's not even his home. His selflessness and sense of justice has earned him that hero status. It's believable that he's more determined than ever to save the world, upon seeing how much of an impact he has on everyone's lives. As Little Planet returns to its home elsewhere, it sprinkles magical seeds that will quickly grow into flowers in the stinger of the good ending, much like in the original game's ending. As Sonic sees it off, he reminisces on his adventure in Little Planet. Like the opening, 2 songs are used for the ending, Cosmic Eternity, or Believe in Yourself for the Japanese version. A gratifying and uplifting song with a twist of mirth that inspires an undying determination. The North American ending song is a slower and more somber cover of Sonic Boom. It fits perfectly in giving this adventure a warm close. Keeping up with the contrast between the opening songs with the Japanese version sounding upbeat and colorful, this one is bittersweet. I keep getting this feeling that we'll never set foot in Little Planet again. It's like saying farewell to a dear friend. As Sonic sees Little Planet ascend to the sky, the game ends. There are no words to express how much I love Sonic the Hedgehog CD. It captures what we love about the franchise and brings in more originality and personality to the table. It takes us to familiar territory while delivering a few twists like time travel and leaving it up to the player on what the outcome is. While the previous games have different endings, they're basically the same. The only option we had last time was if Sonic will be blue or gold, or what color the birds will be. In this game, we see major differences between the two futures. If you finish Sonic 2 without the Chaos Emeralds, Westside Island will still be liberated from Eggman's reign and everything is hunky-dory. If you finish Sonic CD without destroying all the generators or getting all the time stones, Little Planet will suffer for years. Sure, Sonic kicks Eggman out, but everyone is still doomed. In addition, Eggman retains all the time stones, and in the stinker of the bad ending, he uses a wormhole to bring the restrained Little Planet back to Neverlake. All of Sonic's noble deeds adds to his character. There's much more depth here. A lot of people see Sonic as this hip teenager who just wants to chill at the beach, but deep down, he really does care about people. He truly is a hero, and it's all thanks to your efforts. The small, but inspiring text on the Japanese box art sums up what Sonic's about. To live a life of power, you must have faith that what you believe is right, even if others tell you you're wrong. The first thing you must do to live a life of power is to find courage. You must be ready to reach beyond the boundaries of time itself. And to do that, all you need is the will to take that first step. I can't recommend Sonic CD enough. It's fun, innovative, intense, gorgeous to look at, pleasing to hear, and, well, charming. It is such a charming game, and it best defines Sonic in my opinion. If you're not up to buying a Sega CD, you can play it on PC or the Sonic Gems collection, but I highly suggest buying the 2011 Christian Whitehead remaster. Smooth visuals, both soundtracks are available, and you can play as Tails. Oh, and get this, you can fly while you're in control of him, so finding those generators is a piece of cake. There are also some other goodies, like in the sound test, where you can find images that range from pretty cool, to cute, to funny, to Batman, to keep that thing the hell away from me. There's also a screenshot of the scrap stage Desert Dazzle, which would have been exclusive to the 2011 version, but it is in Sonic Mania as Mirage Saloon. If I had to criticize this game, it's that Wacky Workbench can be frustrating, and the final boss is a letdown. But despite that, Sonic CD is a near perfect game, and one of the finest. This is among my top 2 favorite Sonic games, and I enjoy playing it every time. With Little Planet's future secure, all seems well and peaceful, but the grand finale of the classic era approaches.
Bite my shiny metal ass.